Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here, doing a video about the very controversial recent things to come out about Andrew Cuomo in regards to the New York COVID crisis. And my blood is boiling right now and I'm just filled with anger towards people because yet again we have a situation where certain people in the media, in the more fringe parts of the media or even the more right wing media, and also people that were calling out certain people, just like various YouTubers and stuff, especially. They're saying, "Oh, this is a nursing home thing." Fox News was talking about it. Which I don't support Fox News, but in this case, they were right. Many people were calling out Andrew Cuomo for what happened early on in March and April of last year. By the time the story came out, May, June of 2020, but only now MSNBC and all these mainstream media outlets are talking about it. And I think you're going to see this more often. I think I don't know who predicted this and who said this, but I think it's a phenomenon that when the mainstream media, when Biden was elected, now they have this left cover to criticize more Democrats and stuff. Now they can release these articles because it's not an election year. It's just sickening. It's sickening that now they can report on these things that they couldn't report on months ago. So you'll see a lot of things about Cuomo. I wouldn't be surprised if you'll see some more stuff about Newsom. And once Fauci's out of the, if he ever gets out of the Biden administration, I wouldn't be surprised if stuff comes out about him either. That might be longer in the making, though, because I think there's something to be said about this whole crisis. But it's just sickening. And it's sickening that people have stalled on reporting this story just because of whatever. It's just whatever reasons they give. Complete bullshit. This looks pretty disgusting. It's all coffee, though. I'm not drinking toilet water, don't worry. It's coffee. Well, yeah, it's pretty disgusting. Speaking of disgusting, what happened in New York and the cover that people have given Cuomo for months, but I guess it got too big for them not to report. But this is going to happen with a lot of the stuff regarding the virus and stuff because we'll find out in a year from now that this was being covered up by the World Health Organization or CDC said this, and when everything's said and done, we'll be like, oh wow, really? That happened? Or like even the China thing now with the lab, it's becoming more mainstream, that theory. So I'm just done. I'm done with all these mainstream news sources and all these people that just buy into these lies. I can't stand it. I mean, I got into a fight with a friend the other night about Bill Gates, and thankfully, things got calmed down because I gave another friend the ride home from hanging out with this other friend and other people. And the friend I gave a ride home to is critical of Bill Gates, and he, told me things I didn't even know about Bill Gates, which was a big surprise, shock. But it's like, oh yeah, well, we're gonna believe everything the mainstream media says, and then, even if it contradicts itself, it's like, no. People believe all these fucking lies over and over again. They don't do any research on their own. There's people that are just totally intellectually uncurious. They will watch, any type of nighttime talk show. These comedians doing these talk shows. Starting with Jon Stewart, but Jon Stewart was way better than some of these modern guys. It's sickening that people are just so fucking brainwashed, and I just can't sometimes I can't handle it emotionally. You know, I just want to. I just get violent in my head. You know, it's not. I don't want to commit violence towards other people, but it's just, you know, it's just like I just I don't know what to do with regards to that sometimes because people are so fucking in their bubbles and in their you know in their emotion or in their partisan bubbles, and they don't won't venture out of that. And unfortunately, the partisan bubble right now is a lot of it's a scam to keep things afloat in power. Watched a very good Adam Curtis documentary. The first two parts are on YouTube of this new documentary. And his basic premise, I don't agree with his stuff about conspiracy theories like about Kennedy, but the basic premise is that these structures are still trying to retain their power, even though they're very degraded and very much on the decline. And I was thinking about that, ironically, the beginning of this year and earlier last year, that this is like the whole last gasp of them trying to hold on to their power while things change in our society. And I could go into some more esoteric beliefs about that, but I'm not going to go into that in this video. But yeah, just the whole Andrew Cuomo thing pisses me off because it's like it's kind of like the if it comes out that, oh, like COVID, this with COVID, oh yeah, they were doing that, they were doing this, WMDs weren't there, you know, just like all these things that come out later on, and you just sit and just it's a eternal facepalm because you don't know how to communicate these things to people when they're happening, and then later on they're like, oh, you were right, I guess. Oh. And it's just like you give up. You know, you have to give up trying to red pill people or quote unquote or tell people about this or that, you know. I mean, it's just so frustrating. You know, it's so frustrating that when you have very little people to talk about politics with, I can probably count some of my family I can talk about politics with, even though I disagree with them, because they will kind of get in this thing where they're kind of like, well, yeah, you're right about that, and they trust my intelligence, they trust my research, even if they disagree. That's what pisses me off about certain people. They they basically gaslight you. You know, oh, what are you talking about? Oh, it's crazy. Like certain family members, certain other family members have done that to me. You know, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you know, and our certain friends and stuff. It's just like they won't they won't open their eyes to things that are happening. They will just basically dismiss you as a crank or a conspiracy theorist or whatever. But I'm grateful for the family members that do listen to me, even if they disagree, or the friends that you know the few friends that agree with me right now in this crisis. You know, even friends that ostensibly are a little more on the other side of things, that they still see, oh yeah, Bill Gates is a corrupt guy, or you know the way they're these Democrats are hypocrites in the crisis is appalling, or you know all the science, you know, like my friend that I talked about giving a ride to the other night. So you know he's like, well, it's gone a little too, it's gone too far, you know. He's like, well, why can't they have games? He was saying last summer, why can't they have, you know, socially distanced games outside? You know, have people in the you know in the stadiums, even though if they're separated, you know, limited capacity. Why can't they? You know, there's these questions, these contradictions that they have that with these mandates and these policies. He questions those. So, and that's a good thing, even if he's more on the side of, you know, we got to be as careful as possible. Doesn't support a lockdown, but supports restrictions. But he's not like, oh, I support, you know, I think lockdowns are bad too. You know, I mean, he is like that. No, he thinks pure lockdowns are, you know, counterproductive. He'll talk to you about data. He'll talk to you about articles that he read that, I'm surprised the guy was into Chris Hedges, for fuck's sake. But this other friend of ours, he's like, oh, he just watches uh, uh, Colbert Report and, all these people, and watches the nightly news and follows everything that happens. Even if in his own life he doesn't really follow, the mandates. So it's impossible to get through to people like this. They're a brick wall. You can't really worm your way in, and it's depressing. But there's just certain people you can't talk to about certain things, and I've got to accept that. But it's just hard to when things come up in your conversation and when you're hanging out with people and stuff. It's just like, oh. And I was hanging out with some family, and things did come up, and I was like, I'm not going to talk about it, but they pushed me to talk about it, which was surprising. I was like, oh, you can say whatever you want. We all want this to be over with. You could say, we want to hear your opinion. See, that's the thing that makes a major difference between, people that are immovable and people that are open to new ideas. But I've done my research, and that's the whole thing. But anyways, this was about Andrew Cuomo. The media is catching up with these people like Cuomo, or probably Newsom too, pretty soon. They're People attacked DeSantis, or governor of, was it South Dakota, for months. These horrible grandma killers, and all this stuff. But now they have a grandma killer of their own, Cuomo, who literally was a grandma killer. And I think DeSantis is a fuck too. I mean, he might be hiding stuff too, or he did. He tried to. It's a known thing that he tried to hide stats and stuff. So, I mean, it would take a lot more courage for him to open up all the information in Florida, and also have it open literally. That would take a lot more courage. I think some places are doing that. I think Sweden probably is telling us the true numbers, in all honesty. I don't know if Florida is, because they were caught not releasing the true numbers. So I call out both sides for mishandling things. I'm not going to just say Cuomo and Newsom, or what's the guy's name from Florida, Fitzer, or no, for Illinois. They're all piles of shit. But DeSantis, for lying and for sending the police to some whistleblower's home and stuff like months ago, that's bad too. That both sides can be wrong about this situation. Yeah, someone like DeSantis should just say fuck it and just keep things. He can keep things open, but keep open records too. I mean, why not? But with this whole crisis, it's hard to know who to trust, because they did change the definitions of things, and nobody talks about that with regards to the numbers and stuff. Or there are people that talk about that, but fact of the matter is, in previous pandemics, as the World Health Organization said, oftentimes, and it says it on their own website, I put it in my video, months back, they did not count people that died of certain things, certain pandemics, if they died with the virus, but now they do. And who's to benefit from that? That's the question. When you're looking at a conspiracy theory, who's going to benefit? It's like Donald Sutherland's character in JFK said, it's not about who, it's about why. He said it, what was his name? Citizen X, or what? Or I don't remember the name of the guy. It was a real dude too. Fletcher Prouty was the name of the guy. And I guess there's some credibility questions with him too, because he was kind of a Scientologist and stuff. Kind of weird, you can't even trust anybody, anybody from any point of view. Noam Chomsky is an establishment tool. Howard Zinn apologized for China. Bernie Sanders sold out. AOC is a fucking grifter. I bought her damn book. I bought one of her damn books like a year and a half ago. But no, it's a mess. The whole thing's a mess. It's just like you can't really trust anybody but yourself at this point. Um, and I never liked Andrew Cuomo. I did say some positive things about him because he was kind of like putting a little bit questions in some narratives that were being pushed early spring last year. Like he said, well, we don't know this yet. He was a little bit, there was a little bit more humility than say Fauci or some of these other or Fauci or Trump. There was a little more humility to Cuomo's statements, but he is a fucking corrupt as they come, and they're all corrupt. I think they should all be held accountable, but they're not going to be. But the ironic news is that the news can report on them now. We can do it because Biden's in, so we're going to report on stuff like that now because we have to have something to talk about because we talked about Trump for 4 years and totally destroyed the country in the process. It's just and divided the country too. Yeah. So I recommend anybody read Hate Incorporated by Matt Taibbi to see what's really going on with all this stuff. It's pretty sickening. The Taibis and the Greenwalds of the world, they might still be controlled opposition or whatever, maybe. Or James Corbett or Alex Jones, these people. Alex Jones doesn't really count anymore, I think. But James Corbett or people like that, or Brian Young, they might all be Illuminati, lizard reptilian people or whatever. But they tell some truth once in a while. So, but it's a sad state of affairs when, like I said, months later, they're finally talking about Cuomo and his crimes in New York. Why did it take so long? That's my question. Why should I listen to the media anymore? They're going to tell us, months from now that there were some things overblown about the crisis and, we lied about this person was involved with this and this corruption and made the media say this and, oh, we're admitting. It's just like the weapons of mass destruction. They commit the crime, like the Bushes did, the Bush and the Carlyle group and all that. And then years later, we find out, oh, they were lying. They were lying. We admit it now, but it's too late to go out. And then a couple months later, Bush paints dogs. Oh, what a cute guy. He's such a nice guy, poor George W. Bush. Look at Michelle Obama hanging out with him. These people should just, I was watching that Adam Curtis thing. There's this thing called, there's this like spray painted phrase on the wall, burn it all down. I'm going to start making shirts for my shirt company that say that. Because I think it should be all burnt down. At this point, it should be all burnt down. It's just a fucking disaster. It's a dumpster fire of our civilization. The stupidity, the ignorance, the narrow-mindedness of people out there, in this country and in this world. It's just it's a disaster. It's really depressing, and I don't know where to go with a lot of this stuff. It's just like it's a mess. And that's the sad thing about the media, though. They'll be late to the game because of bias and I'm sure there were probably, well, can't cover the story. We got to get Biden elected. So, I could just imagine in these editorial rooms. Yeah, well, let's not go with that. We want Biden. We want Trump out of there, so we can't go attack Cuomo. And TYT was actually sort of admitting that in a way, by default. They couldn't go after the Democrats because they had to get Biden elected. We have to get Biden elected first, then we can go fight the good fight, which is it's too late now. There's a very good possibility that Cuomo will be replaced, or he might be impeached over some of this or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. He's not as high, as a pride. I don't know. The Democrats might go after him more, as time goes on with this, and they'll try to virtue signal about it. See, we went after one of our own. Huh. And same with Newsom. And by the way, Newsom is now, well, I'll talk about that in my next video. Anyways.